So I want to talk about happy accidents. Happy accidents. So mistakes are actually a gift. They actually are a gift. Mistakes are not also the way that we learn, but also opportunities for experimentation, for adventure, and for these pleasant surprises. So I did a bit of research this afternoon, in fact, and I'm so excited about sharing this research with you guys today, of beautiful happy accidents. Happy accidents. The first one, penicillin. So penicillin, a Scottish scientist called Sir Alexander Fleming, is credited with discovering penicillin in 1928. He came across an antibiotic entirely by accident when he left some cultures in his lab for 2 weeks. And when he returned, he found that their growth had been prevented by a mold called Penicillium nonatum. That was the invention of penicillin. So it was a happy accident. He left some cultures to grow. He left his lab for 2 weeks, came back, and it hadn't grown. And he discovered this mold, right? And penicillin is used across the world, Next one, the humble post-it note. This in your hand was a happy accident. So Spencer Silver, he was a researcher in 3M Laboratories, was trying to make a very strong adhesive, but it didn't quite work. The adhesive was very weak, but it stuck to objects without leaving any mark, but it was easily pulled off. So then another scientist called Art Fry realized these little pieces of paper would make great bookmarks for his church songs without leaving residue on the page. The humble post-it note, a happy accident, used by billions of people around the world. Next one, matchsticks. So in 1826, British chemist John Walker discovered matchsticks by accident when he accidentally scraped a stick coated in chemicals across his hearth and found it caught on fire. And the idea struck him to convert them into proper matchsticks. So I've got some matches somewhere in my office. I think most people have matchsticks in their home. Next one, safety glass. 1903, chemist Edward Benedictus was working in his lab when he accidentally knocked over a flask. But when he looked at the flask, rather than breaking into a million pieces, it actually just cracked slightly while maintaining its shape. After looking into a bit further, the scientists learned that what kept the glass together was cellulose nitrate coating inside the glass, and thus safety glass was created. Right? So it was an application of a technology into a different industry altogether. Okay, you guys are gonna love this one. Champagne. Champagne was a happy accident. So the monks in the area of Champagne in France, in fact, I've been to the Champagne area in France. It's beautiful. I did taste many different champagnes while I was out there. So it's very plentiful and access to grapes. But during the colder months, the temperature plummets, which would cause the fermentation process to stop. And when that stops, there's an excess of carbon dioxide inside the wine bottles, which would give the wine an unwanted carbonation. So then in 1668, the Catholic Church decided it was time to handle the situation and brought in a French monk called Dom Perignon over to Champagne to fix the fermentation process. However, by the end of the 17th century, people decided they actually liked the drink. And so, in fact, Perignon's task was to make it even fizzier. And so eventually Perignon developed the official process for making champagne, also known as the French method, crowning him as the inventor of the celebratory sip. Okay? This is why they've changed the laws around the world that you can't call champagne unless it's made in France. In Spain, I think they call it cava. Italy, they call it prosecco. But before, everything was called champagne, and the French put a stop to it. It's like, no, we own this concept. So happy accidents. So this is going to be part of your homework, is to think about some of the mistakes you've made that turned out into happy accidents. Things that you were going down a certain path you thought were not necessarily for your benefit, but actually, wow, if this hadn't happened, then this wouldn't have happened.